0 wins, 4 losses, 2 draws. That's what we just experienced for the first knockout in the round of 16 for the Premier League, and this is possibly a shocking telltale sign of what we'll see for the rest of the season in the Champions League. Now, before we get too far into the video, I understand most of these games were played away, but despite that fact, the fact that so many teams drop points and Arsenal and Newcastle are the only 2 teams that got draws. And yes, I understand Newcastle played at home. That's a big draw for them, but now they have to go and play Barcelona at their own field. That by itself is going to be very difficult. Arsenal coming back to the Emirates, I do think they're going to advance in that one, but still, you cannot write off Bayern Leverkusen. They could still go out and win that match. They were pretty dominant in the first match here. Going back to the Emirates, it could still happen. But then you look at all the other clubs. Chelsea losing 5-2. Manchester City losing 3-0 to Real Madrid, Liverpool losing to Galatasaray, and Tottenham, well, let's just not really talk about Tottenham because they're pretty much done and out of it. Goalkeeper situation, clearly that was the big talking point for them. And Atletico Madrid, we know how good defensively wise they are. It does not matter what happens when they go back to London because they're definitely not advancing. But that being said, of all the 6 teams we just watched here, it's really remarkable to see this because everyone talked about how dominant they were going into the round of 16. The fact that they had this many teams make it into the round of 8 or 16 and that many teams making the top 8 just shows you that it does not matter how well you do in the beginning of the campaign. And we saw this happen last year. We saw Liverpool, who took first, then got knocked out by PSG. Aston Villa also got knocked out by PSG, then even Arsenal. All 3 teams did quite well in the Champions League last year. Did not matter because what does matter is how you perform each and every time in the knockout phases. And currently right now, it's not looking good. I gotta assume that most likely Real Madrid is going to advance after being up 3-0. Granted, we've seen teams go up 3-0 and then lose the second leg. That does happen and could clearly happen again. Chelsea being down 3 goals to PSG, I don't think they're going to score 3 goals and not keep a clean sheet. That's going to be difficult. We can make a whole entire video about Jorgensen and Sanchez because obviously there's been some issues going on with goalkeepers with Liam Senior. I'm not fully sure what's going on behind that, but there have been issues, and we saw another error with Jorgensen, so who knows if he will be the starting goalkeeper moving forward again. But then you even look at Galatasaray and Liverpool. Liverpool have been struggling pretty much all season to really keep contention in scoring goals and holding teams off. The fact that they went down 1-0, I do think, again, that's a very close match. Going back to Anfield, they should be able to win that game, but anything can happen in that second match. And obviously, if if the goalkeeper and the strikers all do what they should be doing for Galatasaray, Osman is what I meant to say, then therefore they could easily advance into that. I don't think it's that far-fetched to say that they could move on and make it to the next round. And that being said, I don't think St. James with Newcastle, they should have won that match. They should have gone out, gotten all 3 points, or however you want to say it, because now going to the Bernabeu, it's going to be very, very difficult because when you think about this, it's just one of those things that you really have to knock teams out when you have the capabilities. And Newcastle had that. Liverpool had that. Arsenal. All these teams had the capabilities, minus City, Chelsea, Tottenham. Those 3 teams never really stood a chance this week just because PSG absolutely just dominated the entire match. You're looking at Real Madrid, they're just absolutely dominant in the Champions League. No matter when and where you're playing them, it does not matter. And obviously, like we talked about Tottenham, Atletico Madrid, they can just put up a brick wall next week and they will still be fine. They will advance. Overall, though, I do think, like, again, it really matters who makes it to the final. I do think Arsenal still have a clear-cut sign to make it there. And like I said, Liverpool could still go far, but yet it is really a telltale sign to let you kind of realize it does not matter what league you're in, where you finish. It all just matters on where you finish at the end of the Champions League, because right now any team I do feel like can beat pretty much any team, minus maybe Bayern Munich. They seem like they're absolutely just dominant. Whoever they're going to play, they're going to just smash until it comes to the final, and then anything can happen in that final. We've seen it happen before, Chelsea beating them in 2012, but like I said, this will be a very interesting Champions League once again, because really there is no clear-cut favorites currently right now besides probably Bayern Munich and maybe, just maybe, Real Madrid, but yet I wouldn't say they're heavy favorites, and they have to go through Bayern Munich, or Bayern Munich has to go through them. So clearly only one of them can make it to the final. And then, like I said, the opposite side, Arsenal seem like the heavy favorites, but still anything can happen in this Champions League. So if you enjoyed this content, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe down below, and I will see you in the next video.